Here's your host of Shaping Success, Wes Tankersley.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to Shaping Success. I am your host, Wes Tankersley. We're coming to you on a Monday this week. Hey, before we get started here, can you do me a favor? If you're seeing this live, please do a watch party. If you're listening to this on the podcast, please do a like, share, and review. Help me to grow the show. I can't make this any bigger without your help. And today's guest is Wil Wilson. Wil is an actor, a writer, a veteran, and also he likes riding some motorcycles. Wil, welcome to the show.
What's up, gentlemen? Hi, Wes.
How are you? How's it going?
Living a dream, gentlemen. Doing my level best to bring it to everybody else.
Well, hey, it's good to have you on here. We've been talking a little bit back and forth for the last couple of weeks and just kind of getting to know each other a little bit. Can you do me a favor? Can you tell us just a little bit about yourself, kind of like your upbringing, where you're from? Just give us a little synopsis on Wil Wilson.
Oh, wow, that's a few chapters in and of itself. Man, I grew up pretty poor, and Dad wasn't around a lot. He was a truck driver when he got out of the Navy, and I don't think I spent more than a year at the same school until like middle school and then junior high. As a result, I had established myself everywhere I went. So it created an atmosphere where I would just sit back and watch my surroundings and learn, make engagements what they needed to be, I guess, at the time. I had a pretty storied, schoolyard life, I guess, is how I'd put it. There was always something going on, somebody trying to feel me out and whatever. So I would turn to my athleticism, sports, listen to music, read books. I was a prolific reader as a kid. Movies. Then I got into movies and watching movies. And by God, it intrigued me looking at the movie from a creator's perspective as someone sitting in front of the big screen. And so I'm watching these tough guys, and real life tough guys, Charles Bronson, Clint Eastwood, James Stewart, Henry Fonda. Obviously, every red-blooded American male that has any Americana blood in him is going to love a John Wayne movie. So, it's just stuff like that. And Dad being gone all the time, I ended up spending a lot of time at the feet of the old timers, the guys that went through World War II and Korea, and some Vietnam guys my dad's age. And so I adopted a lot of, the wisdom that these guys imparted upon me. And as a result, I ended up just coming up with my own way of experiencing the world. And I try to incorporate as much of the wisdom that I like to think that I gained from those gentlemen in life as often as possible. But they're, sadly to say, I've screwed it up here and there along the ways, and I've had to learn the hard way. And but I'll tell you, sitting at the feet of the old timers and learning what it was to be a man in today's world, and learning what it was to be a man in the world back then, and how that changed and how that impacted their lives and the lives of those around them and their community. It had a profound impact on me, and it made me stop to think about, what the hell am I contributing? And so I'm too, rough cut, not as polished or verbose, or I'm not a wordsmith of any meaning, I guess, but I still want to have a positive impact. I've always wanted to have a positive impact to help people to achieve their potential through some sort of creative expression. And I started out, drawing when I was in junior high, and I dropped that years ago, but I really enjoyed it. And I discovered, movies the way that I was looking at them, and it just opened up a whole new world. I was trying to understand the vocabulary involved. Even as much as I watched it before I got involved with acting, and then I got involved with acting, I didn't know everything. I still don't, and I'm still learning, and I always will. To my dying day, it's just going to be a passion for learning, because I get to pass that off on to other people. And so my background growing up in the adversity I had to deal with, having to establish myself everywhere I went, got to be part of my living everyday tenet, my road, my creed. I've got a motto that I picked up from the military, and, keep moving forward, infantry standard. And I don't think I've ever, since my exposure to that, I don't think I've ever once looked at myself as defeated, even at, the points in my life that things didn't go the way I wanted them to, or I didn't get the outcome that I expected to have. Yeah, it's going to impact me in the immediate moment. However, I've been able to learn the life skill to slough that off, pick myself up, and keep moving forward. So the adversity that I faced as a kid really came to help me out later in life, especially in this industry. But man, in this industry, there on the outside, it looks so it's glamorous, and you got these beautiful people up in front of you, sharing a message, telling a story, and we get enamored with that because we see a piece of ourselves, and we wrap that around us, and we say, all right, so how can we clothe ourselves with that person's version of things, or filter it through that? It gives us an opportunity to be a little bit introverted by an outside stimulation. So just being involved in that process is a great thing for me, but this industry can be so, like I said, it's very glamorous on the surface, but there's so many attitudes and so many things to overcome in closed door meetings, cast meetings, script readings, auditions, discussions leading up to auditions. You got bigger studios trying to choke smaller studios. You got bigger productions trying to choke smaller productions. And in my mind, this is just me speaking for myself. I can't speak for anybody else. That's all the way Hollywood built their entertainment industry. And Oklahoma being Oklahoma, man, we do things our own way. There's a lot of really great, in my mind, just hot gunslingers here in Oklahoma, independent filmmakers that are making a name for themselves because they have so much talent to draw off of from Oklahoma. I got involved with this 4 years ago, a little over 4 years ago, because it's something I've always wanted to do. Got to the point where my younger children were pretty self-sufficient. They were spending more time with their friends, developing themselves and their own identity, and I wanted to encourage that. So I asked them, I was like, hey guys, what do you think about Dad, blah, blah, blah. And they was like, well, heck yeah, sounds fun. Go get it, Dad. And I haven't really looked back since. And I picked that up back in 2017, our first class at the Actor Factory through Chris Freihoffer Factory. And I worked with Daryl Cox and Ms. Mortimer and a few others, some guests. And I found that I love the challenge of pushing the envelope in an acting class. Every acting coach or teacher has a different experience, that they filter their lessons through. Just like every person's unique, every person's approach to filmmaking is unique to that person. And being involved with the creative process and being challenged in that way, and then that turning into something challenging me, my depth and my layers as an actor, my method is fascinating to me because it helps me get in touch with an empathy and a compassion that I had gotten callous to due to my upbringing. My upbringing made me initially look at things up front as worst case scenario, worst threat possible, worst threat imaginable. And then I de-escalate it from there in my mind, and I find that groove where I can interact. But with acting, it's helped me to connect more with my empathy and my compassion and my communication. And it's helped me to, in my mind, be a better human being. And ultimately, I don't believe pursuing anything just for the sole purpose of profiting self monetarily is really going to be rewarding to anybody in the end. I think that at least my approach is I really do want to send a positive message and help people to achieve at least the critical thinking to want to look inside themselves after being impacted by an outside influence. Challenges their thinking, that challenges them to use some critical thinking, because critical thinking is a skill set that's not taught in our classrooms anymore. And
Right.
If I can send some message here, maybe it reached back there somewhere and academia picks it up and says, you know what? We got enough people saying this because, this group has said this enough times that maybe we'll start realizing that it's inherent to humanity's best interest to create a critical thinking environment for our children so that we avoid the pitfalls that we create with our division and our political correctness and our wanting to shout people down because we don't agree with what they're saying.
Yeah, and I think that that's a big thing, that we deal with a lot now is that the fact that people tell us what we should think. They don't sit there and allow us to think for ourselves, and then we take that too seriously. We just listen to what other people say and just kind of follow that instead of forming our own opinions and building off of that, listening to the actual story and forming our own opinions. Like you said, the critical thinking is just kind of a lost art anymore.
And dude, I'm still learning critical thinking myself, man. Due to my background, I have roadblocks in front of me from time to time because my personality is push through it. Whatever resistance I am experiencing, my response is to push through it. I don't even think about it. It's to push through it. But while I'm pushing through it, I've got to think about it because I've got to make sure that I'm tempering it with critical thinking. So I'm getting better and better at it. I'm far from where I want to be, but I am getting better and better at it.
Well, the big thing is that you work on it, right? We're always trying to be better, and that's what it sounds like you're trying to do. It's one of those things where you're always going to be pushing forward to make it better for yourself. So I got a question for you, because you were talking a little bit about how you were an athlete and then you got into acting. And, I can see where the acting came in, where you were a lot on film when you were a kid. You were watching growing up all these macho guys, and, like Clint Eastwood's one of my favorite actors. I love him. Like you said, John Wayne, those are people that, I kind of grew up. I was kind of on the tail end of that when those people were coming along, and still Clint has great movies that are coming out. When you're an athlete, I always looked at like the people who were in the drama class or in the acting class kind of as a nerd. How did, and it was just because I was worried that, like I was scared to do it myself, right? I didn't want to get up there and I didn't want to do all that stuff. Was it something that you kind of were like, because you look like one of those big macho guys like we talk about, you got that big beard and that awesome haircut. You just, you've got this persona, but was it something that you would have done in high school, or would you have been just a little embarrassed because you didn't want people to judge you, or how did you look at that?
Well, my fiance, I'll tell you, I don't really pay attention to your personal space. And it's not in the sense in a negative or derogatory way. It's just in the sense that I want to engage people. I've always been younger. When I was younger growing up and before I went to the Army, I spent a lot of time by myself or with very few friends. And the times that I weren't doing that, I was, like I said, stimulating my mind or spirit, or I was attacking a sport. And going, that whole dynamic of acting just really intrigued me, because some of the most colorful people in high school were the actors in the drama club. And they were fun, they were funny. I'll tell you, I wasn't attached to any certain group, guys. I'm kind of alone. There's no kind of to it. I am a lone wolf. I will I travel by myself, and I'll, hang out with this pack for a minute, hang out with that pack for a minute. I just, hey guys, what's up? Bounce around, do my thing. And so it was the same in high school. I hung out with the stoners, hung out with the preppies, I hung out with the jocks, I hung out with the creatives, I hung out with the band guys. I just hung out when I took the time to hang out. And so I got the opportunity to get involved with the South Pacific play in high school. And quite honestly, Wes, I didn't care what people thought. It's an experience I wanted to have, and it was something that I thought would be fun and of good intention. And it didn't matter to me what people think. I really don't care if you have a negative thing to say to me. And I'll try to find a grain of truth in that negativity, but I'm not going to dwell on it. And if there's a grain of truth that I can use to my advantage to, knock out a chink in my armor or whatever, more power to me. You just empowered me some more. Thank you.
Well, and I think that that's a tough thing that we all deal with anyway, because I think for myself, like in the last couple of years, I always kind of worried what other people thought and what they said and things like that. And I'm starting to realize that it doesn't really matter. Most of the time, if you're empathetic to that situation, you'll understand and realize that people are just saying what they're saying to make themselves feel better about themselves because they're scared or they're afraid to do things that you are willing to do. Do you think that because the fact that you kind of moved around a lot, you were able to interact with more people because you had to learn how to adjust a lot more? Or was that just something that just you always were that way?
Oh, no, I wasn't always that way. No way. I mean, it took exposure to situations to teach me, just like anybody else growing up. I just didn't have the guidance of a dad or a mom there all the time, because my mom did her things and my dad did his things. And it was us kids fending for ourselves most of the time. Me being the oldest, I was tasked with caring for my younger siblings and making sure the household ran right, and whatnot, while going to school and playing sports and reading and hanging out with my friends and working out every freaking day. I worked my tail off. I mean, I farmed myself out to so many farmers and ranchers. That's why I got so big. Not only would I work out before I went to work to the fields, after I got done from the fields, if I had enough energy from sweat all day, I would just go work out again and then go home. So, yeah, it was fun.
So we talked about, so you had sports, you were started to do some plays when you were a little bit younger, and then you kind of went into the Army for a little bit, right? And then where did it go from there? What happened after the Army? Did you go to college? Did you just start working? Because you didn't start, you mentioned that you didn't really start acting until like 4 years ago, or go all into it like you are now. What were you doing before then?
I wasn't even remotely involved or attached to any acting until a little over 4 years ago. And I guess we could call that time from the Army to when I got involved with acting, my wandering in the wilderness, so to speak. I was forced to wander in the wilderness and learn my shortcomings so I could gain my strengths. I believe I created most of my own problems, but then again, most of the problems that I created were because I was standing up for what I believed was right. It's not because I was doing anything nefarious or whatever. I'm just standing up for myself. I've had to do it my entire life. I left home at 15 after getting into a fight with my stepdad for abusing my younger brother. And I left that man bleeding and knocked out in the sink, and just packed my stuff up and left that day. And I haven't changed my attitude about things since then. You may beat me down for a minute, but I'm never beaten, never ever defeated. Even I'll draw my last breath, I haven't been defeated.
Which is great because it sounds like you don't have any quit in you. As far as like careers and things like that, you've had a couple jobs, and we talked a little bit. So you have a day job now. What do you do when you're not acting?
I work for an engineering firm doing some electrical engineering stuff. It's fun. It's rewarding. I have a great team that I work with. They're all professional and highly skilled people, and I love the intellectual aspect of it, and there's some creativity involved with it. However, the acting community, the acting world that I got involved with is so addictive because there's so much creative content out there available to work with other collaborators that are bringing it to the forefront. And I get to sit at the feet of these great visionaries and learn their processes and work with them to bring their passion to life and pass that on to others. So it's just fun. I tend to ramble sometimes. I think about every facet of things, but it's hard for me to spit it out sometimes.
I don't know of a creative person who doesn't have that going on in their head where there's all kinds of things going on. That's just part of being creative, I think. So don't worry about that. When you talk about like acting in Oklahoma, it's kind of interesting because maybe I'm a little naive. I didn't realize that there was this acting going on in Oklahoma. Like you'd think of the two big places, right? We think of LA and New York, right? Those are the ones that they always talk about. Yeah. So how did Oklahoma become in this game? Because it sounds like there's quite a few of you there and it's turning into this big thing there.
Well, I'll tell you, you hit the nail on the head with your opening statement there. I didn't know Oklahoma had the depth of talent that it had. I didn't know it was this involved. I do know, since I first got involved, and I'm the type that I like to ask a lot of questions from knowledgeable people that have been in the area or in the profession, be it cinematography, videography, directors, crew members, actors, producers. I ask a lot of questions, investors, policymakers here in Oklahoma. And I've been fortunate enough to be able to speak with a lot of people that have input in those matters and get feedback. And I continue to foment. I've kind of slacked on it lately because I've had so many projects introduced to me, and me working a day job at the same time as doing this now. It's really monopolizing a lot of my time, and I'm not complaining. It's always an adjustment. I'm learning how to manage my schedule better. That's a challenge in and of itself. But yeah, everybody I've gotten to work with is amazing. Everybody. And I've gotten to work with Hollywood producers that come in, Hollywood actors that come in, and they're like, "Oh my God, Oklahoma's phenomenal." I'm like, "Oh my God, now let's get you guys back here." But go ahead and leave that LA way of doing things there. All right, brother. All right, sister. Go and leave that stuff there, and we'll show you the Oklahoma way of doing things. And let's give this a shot first, okay? And then we'll talk after. And I haven't heard a complaint after the fact yet. So the way that we approach filmmaking here in Oklahoma is truly collaborative. Everybody has a voice, and everybody has the potential to contribute greatly to whatever the project is. Because as big as Oklahoma is, and as big as our industry is growing here, we still keep in touch, and we still try to stay grounded and still try to encourage one another's progress. I think that's one of our strengths. I think that's any group strength. We're not really in it for ourselves, but if we can influence somebody else in a positive way and help, brighten their star, as a collateral effect or peripheral effect, our star rises to it. But that's not the goal. The goal is to create content with other creatives and create dialogue with other creatives that address the needs for the moment and bring out the creativity that impacts people in such a way that they do have a positive response moving forward. They do have a positive experience. They have an opportunity to reflect, on some aspect of something in their plane of existence at the moment. You had an interview recently with a medium guy, this Artie fella, and he's talking about intuitiveness, and you guys discussed that, and business acumen and spirituality, and God versus others, all these things. And I was really enjoying it because I didn't realize until later in life when I started reflecting on who I am as a person, because you don't do that when you're young. I mean, you take your prodigal son out and you do your stupid stuff and you make your mistakes. And I did plenty of that. I think I did enough of that for several lifetimes. But for the person that's on a journey of self-discovery, self-improvement, not for selfish ends, but like, how can I create a better fit for myself in this world and this world with me and how I interact with it. So having the opportunity to express myself in creative process helped me to connect with the fact that I'm an intuitive and didn't know it. I took all my study in that regard. The more I read, I'm like, holy crap, I guess I'm an intuitive. And I start looking at my relationships in the film industry, and I realize a lot of these creatives are intuitive and empathic or a smattering of others, and it's amazing working with that energy, because the exchange of energy when the creative process is open, everybody's vulnerable and able to receive and transmit, on the same level. Maybe not even on the same level. Somebody could pull somebody up to their level or drag somebody down their level. But it's a respected exchange of energy. You learn people. You learn that specific person's intuitive level, or that specific person's empathic level, or that specific person's creative bent, how they view their creativity. What prism do they filter it through, and it's fun. It's just like an exercise in the study of the condition of the heart of man. And it's fun for me.
Yeah, and I mean it's one of those things, like, you build that chemistry with the person that you're acting with, and if you don't have the same energy and you're not giving that, you can tell that it's not going to work, right? It doesn't end up being a good quality product because you don't fit together. So Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you've got going on? I know, so I was looking at your IMDb, and they don't really give you a whole lot of information, but I noticed that a bunch of stuff is in like post-production. What do you have out now, and what's coming out?
Okay, what I have out now is 40 Ounces of Freedom. That's been out for a few years. That's on Amazon Prime. That's a Ryan Green film. It's pretty dark. It's a dark comedy. It was a passion project for him, his college filmmaking class, and he finished it after college. And I got recast in that, so that's out, and it's fun. I play Agent Walker, DEA senior section chief Walker, and I interrogate all these bad players in this movie. And it was my first speaking role, and I got to tell you, it was fun auditioning for that. I had the director, the cinematographer, and the assistant director just rolling in my audition. They were recasting my part. And, I told myself before I walked in, I said, I don't give up. I'm just going all out. And if he needs me to scale it back, I'll scale it back. And when I was taught that in my first acting class, give everything you got for that moment, how you see that character, feeding that scene, or create your own backstory, develop that character yourself. I took that seriously. And you listen to some of all the more established actors, they'll tell you the same thing. The ones that just knock it out of the park every time, that you get to see anyway. You only get to see their successes. You don't get to see a lot of the failures. So when you see the successes you want to draw from. But I get inspired by the failures too, because what did you go through during that failure that helped you bring something forward on the next round? And how can you help appear in the industry with what you gained in that knowledge? So, yeah, it's amazing.
There's a lesson in every failure, just like you said. I mean, that's the thing. That's the difference between the people who are successful and the people who are not, is figuring out how to fix that failure and to make it better. I mean, I'm assuming that you've tried out for many roles and there's some that you didn't get, but what you do is you always go back and you figure out, what do you have to do to get that the next time? What could you change last time to make it better the following time?
I'll tell you, one of the things that really stuck with me based off of that is that I can't remember who said it, or I'd read a lot of acting memes, panels, and stuff, and I follow actors and listen to some of the actor studio. I listen to some of their background and stuff, and it's interesting seeing everybody else's approach in the diversity, because everybody overcomes it almost in the same way. They've got to realize that they have the power within them. We all do. And me being aware of that, I feel it's my responsibility to try and elicit that in others, and that, help them achieve their spark, so that they don't take no for an answer. Yeah, you maybe get no here, but it may be the right no right there. At that point in time, it may be the perfect no for you. That's why I don't get too wrapped up in that. I have in the past. I've gotten wrapped up. This one, I was incensed during an audition, and I was so upset that I made the whole room tense, because I didn't appreciate the situation for what it was, the way I should have. As soon as I walked out the door, I'm like, oh man, I could have done this. But when you're in the moment, I was just wrapped up in something I should have been at those times, and so they weren't real failures. I call them stumbling blocks. I don't really elicit anything as a failure unless you just quit trying. You're not going to be a failure unless you let your circumstances force you to the point where you just quit trying. I haven't reached that point yet. I don't expect to at all moving forward, but who knows? And maybe I will reach that point. But as of right now, I don't see it happening.
Yeah, and you're getting a little traction too, because again, you have a couple that are in post production, right? What do we have? What is it? Second Chances? Is that the one that's in post production, and then another one as well?
Second Chances is still in production. That's my current project. A few of my most recent projects, Out of Exile, a Kyle Kawika Harris film. He's an Oklahoma screenwriter, director, and producer, and he's an awesome person. He's just an awesome human being. Out of Exile is his baby. And it quickly turned into the entire cast and crew's baby, because it's such a great script, such an awesome approach to this particular life lesson story type. And it's a credit. I mean, it's a credit to, he's a credit to the creative process. This Oklahoma writer, director, producer is a credit. And every person that he was able to get involved in this project, he's the one that pushed this. He's the one that shared this, and he's the one that made sure that the right people, he didn't let people get involved that he didn't think were personally invested. I mean, they can be monetarily invested if they want to, but unless you had a spark kick off in you and you actually had a passion for this, I don't know specifically everything. I got the impression he just didn't want to talk to you, because everybody that I saw on set, cast and crew, on that project, we gave it everything every day. And even when there were differences of creative opinion, you know what? We hashed it out, and the scene came out amazing because everybody participated. And that's why I've got to give credit to the Oklahoma creative, not so much the Oklahoma film industry, because the film industry itself in Oklahoma, like the Oklahoma Film and Music Office out of Oklahoma City and Tulsa Film and Music Office, they're learning the same time we are. So, because our market's expanding so much, and we're having to adjust and create relationships with distributorships and other larger studios and other more established production companies, and where they're asking to work with us. They're coming to Oklahoma because they see that we're not only are we on the right track, but we're on that freaking, what are those locomotives, those magnetic locomotives, electric trains that float on a cushion of magnetism. We're like that, just picking up speed, man. And I don't think there may be a few hiccups here and there, and there have been, but everybody I know so far in the process has been pretty on the up and up. And I'm excited for the film industry in Oklahoma and the film industry overall, with Oklahoma's contributions with Out of Exile, a short film I'm in, Invictus, another film that they shot here, All Terrain. That's in post-production. It's supposed to have been out last year, but COVID messed that up. Low Cards Principle. They've been shooting that forever. And they're still, buttoning up some stuff. Jake Richardson, director of that movie. So I've got several projects coming. They're in post-production. I've got Second Chances that is in production. As a matter of fact, I got to fill out some paperwork today so I could be on set here in the next week or two for Second Chances and Rick Walker film. Oklahoma, in my mind, we're in a unique place where we can do it the Oklahoma way. You've got the Tulsa sound. You've got, just like you've got the Memphis sound and the Delta Blues sound. You've got these. Every region has its package. They have their theme. They have their cultural flavor to whatever they put into their creative product. And Oklahoma has its own, man, and it's flourishing. And it's because people are hitting the ground running, and they're not saying no. They're not taking no for an answer, and they're putting in the long hours, and they're wearing 3 and 4 hats. Everybody on the Out of Exile project, I mean, it's a small casting crew, man. Everybody's wearing 3 or 4 hats, producers and crew members, but they did it with a smile, man, and they did it with a heart of gold. Everybody put the work in. They put their time in. I drove 2.5 hours one way. I was a long ways away just to take a COVID test to be on set the following day. So I gave up 5 hours of my day. That's how much of a passion we have for this. That's just my example. There's people that slept in their cars, crashing other people's couches, on their floors, and doing 3 or 4 jobs on set. It was amazing. Everybody was awesome.
Yeah, well, it's pretty exciting to see what's coming down the pipe. I'm excited to go check out some of those movies that you've already got out and then see these next ones coming out. What would you tell someone who is in Oklahoma or in, Hollywood, in New York, thinking about getting into acting? Because you kind of went about it in a different way, right? You've been doing it at an older age, but you realize that that couldn't hold you back. What would you tell someone who is like on the cusp of thinking about going into acting and to push themselves?
First thing you got to do is get over your fear, man. Either that, if you can't get over your fear, embrace it and run with it. Force that fear to get in line with you. It's fearful every time you expose yourself and make yourself vulnerable enough to take on a character. And getting that feedback after that character is delivered to your audience, it can be empowering or devastating. But are you interested in it because it's a passion of yours? If you are, then take the steps. Necessary steps you need to make is take an acting class. There are several places opening up in Oklahoma. Adam Finley has a studio in Tulsa. There's a Reels Talent studio in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, northeastern Oklahoma. Oklahoma City picked up Green Pasture Studios. Green Pasture's Film Academy, where they're teaching cast and crew and teaching all kinds of things on how to build a set and keep a set going. They're teaching filmmaking in Oklahoma, and we're looking for ways to involve great talent to raise up great talent. And everybody's doing their part, and we want to continue to do so moving forward. So what I've got to guard myself against is all the things that I'm guarding myself against now. I don't want to get complacent or comfortable, and I'm hoping that I can encourage those that I work with to be the same in that regard, and that we all move toward a common goal of turning out a better product because you have a better approach, a more involved approach where we're taking all the creative content available to us, discussing it, and turning it out in a manner that we think is going to be the most impactful, something that people can take with them after they view it and say, wow, I need to really think about that. So, and that's the approach that we're taking. It's a blast. It's a blast working with all these creatives because it helps me hone my humanity. I get to be a better person as a result, and the challenges are well worth the effort. So take that with you. Take the challenges as they are, and see them as an opportunity to grow. And I'm not saying embrace your, beat your fear up or whatever. We've got to use our fear to accomplish some things sometimes, and we got to be brave when we're afraid. That courage comes into play, and people don't realize just little things. Just taking that step, maybe even thinking about it's courageous for you. Man, just take a step. Reach out to somebody. I've helped several people, point them in the right direction. Hey, Will, could I? Blah, blah. All right, bro, I'll hook you up with this. All right, Chica, I'll hook you up with this dude, or this chick over here, or whatever. But the dialogue's on you. I mean, how you want to? Are you really interested? Is this what you want to do? Because it's not all glamorous. I mean, you're spending time on set. I don't recall one single day on set after being on set that I was not completely exhausted. Not one. In all the productions I've been involved with. And it's because if you're truly being creative, you're truly putting your heart and your passion into the work that you're turning out, it's going to take your energy. You're going to pour your energy into it. And if you're in the right environment with the right creatives, they're going to feed that energy back to you. And you're all going to be tired. And I witnessed that on several occasions. And I can't say that for any other production that I have not been on in Oklahoma, but every one that I've been involved with here, the energy exchange is amazing. So you think about that. If you really want to get involved and you really think you have a passion that you want to pursue in this regard, try it out. I mean, I say everything that you want to do that's you think is going to be benefit your soul and the rest of humanity, try it. Try it on some level. Maybe that's not your niche. Maybe that's not your forte. Maybe your personality doesn't fit going down that road. Maybe you'd be better off as a producer or a director or a writer. Who knows? I chose acting to start out with because I wanted to have something to take to the director's chair. I want to have something to take to the producer's meeting before I entertain doing those things. So I guess my thing, getting involved this late in life, it helped me to understand the value of experience, bringing experience to the creative process. Experience outside of the structure of filmmaking, but just my own life experience. And then taking that life experience, applying it to my professional experience in acting and helping others see their potential because I'm sharing my shortcomings, my quote unquote failures. I don't really see them as failures. The stopping points in my life that slowed me down. Just encourage them with, look what happened here, because no matter what this person said over here, I just ignored it, went over their head or around it or whatever. Then came back to that person and said, hey, we could have had this discussion, but you chose the other way. Look where this went down. Not in a derogatory way. It's like, listen, dude, you need to wake up to the fact that you're not helping yourself here. So that's what, I don't know, true creatives, true collaborators do. You want to turn out a great product, then pull the best out of all the people you have involved.
Well, hey, it's been good kind of getting to pick your brain about this and learn and kind of get some information on what you're doing. If someone wanted to reach out to you, maybe get a little acting advice or anything that you're doing, what is the best way to contact you?
Well, I have several contact points. I have an Instagram page at Wil Wilson 692, and that's mainly acting, inspirational stuff. My Facebook is Wil with one L, Wilson, and I'll keep that open. I'm going to create a fan page soon, and once that's done, I'll start sharing, that link. I also have an Alignable page. You guys can get a hold of me there. And I do have an email, wewilson692@gmail.com. And you can get in touch with me there if you're interested in bookings for me, or if you're interested in learning, I guess, my philosophy on how do you approach your career in the entertainment industry. I'm just a fledgling baby. I'm not as well established as everybody else is, but I do know what I will and won't work with. So yeah, get in touch with me. I love to collaborate with people on projects and collaborate with somebody, helping them to realize their potential or pursue their interest, and see if they can't make something of it, make an impact.
Well, Will, it's been great having you on, and I definitely will put that in the show notes so people can get in contact with you in hopes that, you can help them, because it sounds like you have a pretty inspirational story where you came and you did something later in life, and it was really exciting to see, and I'm excited to see where that path will take you. We do have one last question that we ask every single guest. The show is called Shaping Success, and that question is, how do you define success? What is the shape of your success?
In my mind, I'll be successful when I can sit back and watch people that I've helped in life get the acknowledgement that they deserved. If I feel that I'll be successful if I've contributed to somebody else's success, and my content is derived from that feeling of accomplishment for, hey, I was able to contribute to this person's life in a positive way. That's successful. My kids, that's why I waited so long to get involved, because I wanted to focus on my kids. Despite the fact that I was divorced from their mothers at the time, we still had great relationships, still do to this day as a result. So yeah, just being able to help others succeed and see that and see their happiness. I want to be able to help somebody reach their contentment in life, and then have them pass that on to somebody else. To me, that's not only a successful career, that's a successful life. Yeah, so doing that for my kids, friends, acquaintances, anybody I can do that for. If I can positively do that in some way, shape, or form, I will. So I try to do that. I'm human. I mess up. However, I'm always moving towards that.
Well, I think that's a great message, that, being able to help other people succeed in their goals. And that's really what I'm trying to do here. I appreciate you taking the time to kind of share that with people and kind of show them your blueprint of how you created what your success. So, Will, I want to again say thank you for taking the time to be on the show.
Thank you. I don't think this is limited to us, man. It's. I think spiritually, humanity is waking up, and it's starting to catch hold. I don't think it's limited to just you and I. I think more and more people are picking up this anthem, and it's exciting to watch. I can't wait to see what people are going to do with this. And I think it's going to go in a good direction, just for everybody, generally speaking. So thanks, Wes, for having me on.
Well, thank you again, everyone. That is the end of the show. Until next time, I want to challenge you to find the shape of your success.